Yo guys, it's your boy Ruben, the Long Man, and today we are doing Eredivisie Predictions. The new season has started. We've had 2 rounds of games so far, and I'm gonna give my predictions now. So here is a tier list with several different categories: champion, top 3, Europa League, playoffs, mid-table, almost degradation, and degradation. These are the different tiers we're gonna be putting all of the Eredivisie squads in. So without further ado, let's get started. I have some notes here with me. Let's start off with Telstar here, newly promoted from the lower division. I think they're the squad that's in the toughest position out of all teams here. I think this might be the easiest choice in the degradation category. I think they're in a very rough position. I think they're going to be the Almere, go up, go straight back down. They're the team with by far the smallest budget. They haven't really invested too much yet into Eredivisie quality players. So I think they're playing it safe, expecting to go down just to get a more stable budget for the future. But they're not really investing, they're not really trying to stay up even, I feel. They did look decent in their first game against Ajax. They still lost 2-0, but they did look decent, so they can get a win here and there. But I think overall they just lack the quality of an Eredivisie squad, and I think they're going to go down. Next up, we got Volendam. That's a classic yo-yo team, up, down for the last couple seasons, and I think this season is going to be no different. I think they're in a better position than Telstar. They've got some more Eredivisie experience in the squad. But overall, I think they're not ready to match up against the rest of the league, and I think they're gonna go down in the 17th. Should probably do it like this. We go Volendam and Telstar to go down. Next, Excelsior Rotterdam, third team in Rotterdam this season, and honestly, out of the 3 newly promoted teams, I think they're in the best position. I think they've been the most active on the transfer market as well, trying to get at least some new players, and I think that's going to be enough to have them scrap by just about in like 15th place, just above the relegation zone, and I think they're going to make it as the only newly promoted squad this season. There you have it. Those are the newcomers to the divisions. What do you think of these 3? Let me know in the comments down below. So you might be wondering if not all the new teams are going to go down, who is gonna go down in 16th place? And my money is on NAC Breda, unfortunately. The team with the longest name in the Eredivisie. And they're an Eredivisie regular, but overall they just really did not impress me last season. I think they were very, very poor. And now they've lost Leo Sauer, their left back. He's back at Feyenoord. He was fantastic last season. They've lost their captain. And I don't think they've really reinvested into the squad, and I think last season they were 15th, 14th or something like that. I think this season is going to be worse, and I think they're at a very real risk to go down in that 3rd relegation spot. Maybe fighting for relegation, but they're going to be struggling this season. Staying in the same tier, up next I got Heracles. Honestly, I think they were 14th last season. I think this season is just going to be more of the same. Haven't really done anything special on the transfer market. Don't really have any expectations for them to overperform or underperform what they did last season. So I'm going to keep them in 14th steady. I think they want to do better, but I think they need to show some more for me to believe in them. Now, next team might come as a little bit of a surprise for some of you, who I have in 13th. I think they're a team that did decently last year, but I think they're going to have a pretty significant drop-off, and that is Sparta Rotterdam. I think losing Olay is just going to, and having Drommel in goal as a replacement is going to cause quite some issues. They had a disaster start, conceding 6 to PSV, which, I mean, it can happen. Feyenoord's been on the 10-0 loss in the past before. Yeah, I think Sparta is really going to struggle this season. They added some experience, Toornstra, Martin Indy, both ex-Feyenoord, known in Rotterdam, but overall I think they're just going to concede more goals this season, which is going to cause them to lose more games. Up next in 12th, I've got PEC Zwolle, also a team that I predict is going to do worse than last season. And I base that on their transfer activity. I think they've lost more going out than has come in this season, especially in the attack. I think they're basically the opposite of Sparta. They've lost a lot in the attack, so I think they're going to struggle more with scoring goals. And, less goals, less points. Easy maths, that's my logic. I think that holds up. I think they were 10th last season. I think they're going to go down 2 places to 12th. Not in degradation danger yet, but I think they're going to struggle more this season. Up next, we're going north. We're heading to Groningen. I think they're a team that's been struggling recently, but there's a bit of a rising trend in their squad. They've got some young players, they got some talented players. They lost Valente to Feyenoord, but from what I've heard from Groningen fans, they're kind of okay with it. I think they still feel comfortable with their squad. I think they're steadily climbing back to being a stable mid-table team that's gonna keep growing stronger out of their dark period. And speaking of stable middle table teams, I've got Fortuna here in the 10th spot. I think they've just been chugging along steadily, nothing too exciting on the transfer market, not too much in, not too much out. And I think they're just going to be doing the same thing, going on steadily, beating the games below them, losing to the teams above them. Just a very average team, I would say. That's just all I can think of basically when I think of Fortuna Sittard. Just middle of the road, nothing too special, but nothing too, not a very high ceiling, but also not a super low floor. So they're in that range, I feel. Up next, I've got Go Ahead Eagles in 9th place, the winners of the KVB Beker. Also might be a bit shocking for people, this one, because I do think they play fun football. I like their little combination plays, tiki-taka sometimes, but overall but so far from what I've seen from them, they're low on possession. They are fun when they have the ball, but don't have it that often. Low XG, but good results. Draw against Ajax, that was solid. But they've lost their manager, who I think was really good. He got them to a cup win for the first time in ages. And I think they've lost Edwardson, right? Yeah, or Ant-Man, which one of the two was it? I think one of their top 2 players, I feel. So I think they're going to be struggling more than last season with a new coach. It's going to take some time to settle. So I don't think they're going to do as well as last year. But I do think they're a fun team. Back in the north, we've got Heerenveen. I'm going to put them in 8th place. Honestly, Heerenveen has also been struggling a little bit, I would say, recently. They were always around that 8 to 12 stage as well. Trying to grow bigger than that, but not really succeeding. And I always had them in my head as higher rated than they've actually finished recently, because they haven't finished higher than 8th place in a decade or something. I think they're gonna go 8th again. But I don't know. That's also a team I could see dropping down a little lower if things go wrong. Go Ahead Eagles, Fortuna can pass them if they really screw up their season. But we'll see. 8th place for Heerenveen. Now another team that's going to be fighting for a European spot is FC Twente. I think one of their big outgoing transfers this season, Sam Stein to Feyenoord. He was their main goal scorer, top goal scorer, and without them, I really think they're going to struggle to score goals. So that's why I would rate them lower than last season. Not really any exciting signings. Bringing a failing Zerouki back from Feyenoord. Trading Stein for Zerouki is just... that's a rough trade for Twente. Now we've got a team that's a bit on the up and up. NEC. I think they're going to do well this season and become 6th. I feel like they're just a very good all-round squad. They got some Japanese power. They got some experienced veterans. They've started off their season well. And I think NEC is going to do well. They're definitely in with a fight for the playoffs again this year. They're definitely a team on the rise, growing stronger every season. And I think this year that's going to culminate into a 6th place finish. So up next might be my most controversial pick of the list. We enter the top 5. And in 5th place, I've got maybe the biggest club in the Netherlands. I've got Ajax here. I think I'm a Feyenoord fan, so I'm definitely... People are going to call me biased, and that might be true. But I think Ajax is going to struggle more than last season. You know, changing coach, I really do not believe in Heitinga as a main coach. Like, he has not shown to me yet that he can do it at this level. But we'll see, he might prove me wrong. Second point is their squad depth, their squad. I just don't really think they're as good. They're just really still dealing with the whole Mislintat business, probably underperforming, selling players. I just don't think their squad is in a great place this year. I think this is a bit more of a transition year. We'll see how Heitinga does, if he stays on for longer or if he's going to be out again in a year and they try something new again. But yeah, Ajax is definitely going to be one of my underperformance candidates for this year. Like, still, you know, they still have a level of quality, I say, above anyone else I've put on the list so far. But I think they're just gonna struggle a bit more, drop points in dumb games. Like, they weren't convincing against Telstar, like they won 2-0, but the way they played just really wasn't good. And I think, especially in this first half of the season, where they're still getting used to the new coach and lineup changes, they're gonna have some struggles and they're gonna drop some points, and that's going to cost them in the final rankings. But yeah, Ajax fans, feel free to roast me in the comments down below why you're still up there fighting for the championship this year. And one more thing I want to note, Ajax is also dealing with the Champions League, and which is great for the financials, but it is going to be more exhausting and it's going to stress the squad depth. And I think if they get banged out in the Champions League and they go, towards that bottom of the table, I think that's not going to do well for morale, and that's what I kind of fear might happen, because I don't think Ajax right now, as they are, is ready to go up against other European grades. And joining them here in this Europa League tier, I've got FC Utrecht. Ron Jans, great manager, has done well. I think Utrecht's got a good balanced squad between veterans and young exciting players. Also in Europe this season, so that will stress the squad a little bit more than usual. So far in the qualifications, they're doing solidly. They really were a surprise for me last season how well they did. And I think Ron Jans is just going to continue building on that. I think they've strengthened the squad well. Aging Toornstra out. Zekiel in there for midfield on loan from Feyenoord. I think they're going to do well again this season. And, in the Europa League, I think they can do pretty decently as well. I don't think they're favorite to win or anything, but I think they can go pretty far. Next, third place out of these three. I think most people will guess who I will put there. I'm going to go with AZ. I think they're quality-wise, they're a bit behind Feyenoord and PSV. They've got good strikers in Parrot and Meerdink, but overall, squad-wise, they're not quite at the same level. I think AZ is in the Conference League this year, and honestly, they really do have a good shot at winning that. They might go all the way to the end of the season, to the final stages of the Conference League. It is going to stress their squad. It is going to be good for their finances though. And it's fun if you're an AZ fan. Go on a European adventure. Now, final two. You might have already guessed by the shirt I'm wearing, but I am going to put PSV in second place and Feyenoord in first place. Let me explain why. So overall, I do think PSV has a really solid squad. They're building on top of what Bos has already built last season. But they have had a lot of outgoing transfers. Their striker just got injured last game, and he's going to be out for quite a long time, which is really going to hurt them, I feel like. There's still some issues around Til and Saibari as well. Losing Luc de Jong is also massive. He's definitely like a player that just heads in that winning header goal 5 times a season and gets you 15 points that you otherwise wouldn't have gotten. And losing that experience is going to hurt them as well, especially now that their other striker just got injured. Going to be dealing with Champions League fatigue as well. But I think overall they've got a more solid squad to deal with that than the teams below them. And one of my predictions last year was that PSV would collapse. I think with Bos, the team always have as a dip. And it did happen. It's just that Ajax threw even harder in the second part at the end stages of the season to give PSV the title. But I think PSV will go through the same again this year. They will enter some point in the season where for 5 games they struggle, they drop points. And I think that is where Feyenoord is going to capitalize and get enough of a lead to bring home the cup. However, while I say that, it is definitely not a very clear decision. Because Feyenoord, even though my club, and I'm 100% biased, they're definitely not a very clear favorite. And I think most people will have PSV over them. But I think PSV will struggle at some point. I think Feyenoord will take advantage. But talking about Feyenoord, their first season with Van Persie as head coach, as main coach for the entire season. So that's going to be new. And I'm not sure if he's good enough to be Eredivisie champion as a coach. He's definitely not on Slot's level. You saw what he did with Liverpool. I already knew with Feyenoord how good he was, and he definitely proved that. But with Van Persie, he definitely has a unique view on things, and I do like that as having a manager who's not wishy-washy. He has certain ideas, he executes them, and whether they work or not, we'll see. At least it's an interesting, fresh take on a couple things. Feyenoord have lost some key players. Hansko in defense, Paixão in offense, Jimenez halfway through last season. So it is quite a bit of money coming in, but it's also a lot of firepower leaving. Hansko, I think, don't quote me on this, but out of the top 7 leagues in Europe or something, he's had the most minutes in the last 2 years. He's been insanely consistent, insanely fit, scored some important goals, captain of the squad. So losing him is definitely going to be rough. I think we've brought on good replacements in Watanabe and Ahmedosic, but from the games I've seen so far, they still have to get used to each other. So I think that might cost a couple goals here and there if Feyenoord's not careful and if they get punished harshly by their opponents. Bringing Sam Stein is definitely going to help a lot, replacing some of the goals that we lost from Paixão and Jimenez. Ueda still has to grow into his role a bit more. And we'll see what else they can bring in. Bringing in Leo Sauer back on loan for Breda. He was great last season. Him on the left is definitely going to bring in a lot. He replaces Hartman, who was also very good last season, I thought. We've had a good history of left backs these last couple of years. Last season, Feyenoord struggled a lot with injuries. And I think this year is going to be a little bit better. At least that's what I hope. Can't be as bad as last year. So, that should help us. We are in the Europa League as well. So the Champions League, I think that's more Feyenoord's level. I think we can do well in the Europa League, very well. So that's going to be at least fun. I think that's better than going out in the group stage of the Champions League, which is what I would predict Feyenoord should do this year if they were in the Champions League. And I think a massive question for Feyenoord this year is, can Ueda step up and be that next big striker that Feyenoord needs to finish off games? So far he's also not been fed amazingly by the players around him, by the wingers, by the midfield. He's also not really risen above that and really just proved things himself. So I'm on the fence. I do believe in him. I believe he has the potential to be great, but he really has to show that this season. But I think overall, this Feyenoord is going to be just barely strong enough to edge out PSV if PSV has another slump and become champions of the Netherlands in the 25-26 Eredivisie season. There you have it. Those are my hot takes. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know your predictions. Let me know where I've gone all the way wrong. Let me know why I've put your favorite team way too low. And we'll see in a year how I've done. It's me, boy, Long Man. Peace out. See you later. Bye bye.